it's Alex, the Bookubus. Welcome to my library. Hello, it's Alex, the Bookubus. Today I'm bringing you another instalment in my library tour. These have been a bit few and far between, but I figured I would try and squeeze one more in before the year is over. I will leave my other videos in my library tour series linked below if you want to go check them out. And yeah, I'm just going to pick up in the P section where I left off last time. And starting off with A Choir of Ill Children by Tom Piccirilli, A Lower Deep by the same author, and Dark Father. Next are a few of Christopher Pike's adult titles, starting with The Blind Mirror, The Cold One, Falling. I love the blurb on the front here that describes it as literary crack cocaine. Okay. Sati, You Won't Be the Same Once You Meet Her. And Season of Passage, probably one of my favourite covers. This one is pretty incredible. Garden of Evil by Edmund Plant. The seeds had been planted, the harvest would be hell. And another one by the same author, Transformation. A bit of Edgar Allan Poe. This is 8 Tales of Terror. Really love this cover. You gotta love a creepy house. Edgar Allan Poe Selected Writings from the Penguin English Library. And 10 Great Mysteries by Edgar Allan Poe. Shadow Eyes by Catherine Ptasek. Really cool cover, creepy eyes galore. Neighbours by Maureen S. Pusty, with this really cool metallic detailing. The Witching by Fritzen Ravenswood, another favourite cover of mine. Okay, this is another favourite cover of mine, Hellboard by Dana Reed. And another, Tricycle by Russell Rhodes. Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. December by Phil Rickman. The Wrath by David Robbins. The Freak, great title, by Eleanor Robinson. Whispering Corner by Mark Ronson. The Reunion by L.V. Roper, another fantastic cover. Next up are a few gothic romances by Clarissa Ross, which might be a pseudonym. This one is Gemini in Darkness, Glimpse into Terror, and Voice from the Grave. Resurrexit by Leona C. Ross. Love that cover too. I'm going to say this to like every other one. The Dracula Archives by Raymond Rudolph. Incubus by Ray Russell. A very shiny Limb to Limb by John Russo. Cast a Cold Eye by Alan Ryan. Nocturnus by Sean Ryan. Thorn by Fred Saberhagen. I think this is part of a series, but I only have this one. The Auctioneer by Joan Sampson. Halloweenland by Al Sarantonio. Moving on to a handful of John Saul novels. Comes the Blind Fury. The God Project. Punish the Sinners. Shadows. Suffer the Children, which is the only one of his I've read so far, but I really enjoyed it, so I definitely need to read more by him. The Unloved. And The Unwanted. Hard to see the cover, but there is a face in there somewhere. Last up for this shelf is Predators by Eric Sauter, which has a great cover and some pretty awesome step back art. Valentine by Tom Savage, the basis for the 90s slasher film. A couple of the Guardians series by Peter Saxon. This is number 2, Dark Ways to Death. Incredible cover art. And number 3, The Haunting of Alan Mays. A Small Dark Place by Martin Schenk. Venom by Alan Schofield. Such Nice People by Sandra Scopatoni. Childmare by A.G. Scott. Night Runners by Michael Sarayan, which is hard to tell, but it has like an embossed motorbike on there, which is pretty rad. The Punishment by Doris Shannon. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Sellers by John Shirley. I'm mad I couldn't get that sticker off. And Wet Bones, also by John Shirley. Wednesday's Child by Deborah and Joel Schleien. Pretty creepy cover. The Unborn by David Shobin. Before the baby cries, you will scream. Brilliant. A Very Shiny Fox's Earth by Anne Rivers Siddons, and by the same author, The House Next Door, which is excellent. And another edition of The House Next Door, because sometimes you just end up with more than one. Orphans by Jean Simon. Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. This one does have some lovely step back art. Jake's Wake by John Skip and Cody Goodfellow. John Skip is more famous for writing with Craig Spector, so I have a few of theirs. This one is Animals. The Bridge, which has some really great embossed like tendrils and hand, and a very beat up copy of The Light at the End that I got for 25 cents, but I was still able to read it and really enjoyed it. Moving on to some books by Michael Slade in the Special X series, I think it's called. This one is Headhunter, another incredible cover. Ghoul, which is also another wonderful cover. Cutthroat, which does have some inner artwork. Ripper. Primal Scream. Burnt Bones. And Swastika. There are more in the series, but they're the only ones that I currently have. The Killing Kind by Brian Smith. Dead End by Guy N. Smith. The Slime Beast, also by Guy N. Smith. I read this earlier this year and really enjoyed it. And last up for my very small Guy N. Smith collection, this is Water Rights. Nightwing by Martin Cruz Smith. Rebecca Moon by Michelle Spence. One of my favourite covers and an excellent book too. Shadow Play, also by Michelle Spence. And another edition of Shadow Play, A Game of Death, and Only the Children Know the Rules. Another very shiny one, this is The Glow by Brooks Stanwood. More like The Glare, am I right? Vampires by John Stakely. The Owl's Fane Horror by Duffy Stein, which has some rather amazing, sorry for the light, step back art. The Sisterhood by Florence Stevenson, love that cover too. Superstitious by R.L. Stein, one of his attempts at adult horror. It's supposed to be terrible, but one of these days I will get round to reading it. And last for this shelf is The Lair of the White Worm by Bram Stoker. Okay, next shelf we have a few by Peter Straub. This is Ghost Story, If You Could See Me Now, Julia, and Coco. Children of the Knife by Brad Strickland. Next up are a few by Whitley Strieber. This one is Billy, which has some rather creepy step back art. Black Magic. Cat Magic. The Hunger. Love the film, but haven't yet read the book. And incredible cover for The Night Church. Perfume by Patrick Suskind. This This one does have some inner artwork. Blood Roots by Richie Tankersley Cusick, who is more well known for her YA novels, but this is one of her adult ones. Next are some of my Bernard Taylor books. He is such an excellent author. I highly recommend checking his work out. This one is Charmed Life, Evil Intent. This is the only one I haven't read yet of his. The Godsend, which is a really good creepy kid story. Madeline, which is hard to tell, but the cover is all embossed with these faces. And The Reaping, which is probably my favourite of those few. I do have some of his other books, but they're just not on this shelf because they're hardbacks and different kinds of paperbacks. Blood Ties by Karen E. Taylor. I think this is part of a series, but I only have this random one. Liquid Diet by William Tedford. Prodigal by Melanie Tem. And The Tides by Melanie Tem. A rather battered copy of The Nightwalker by Thomas Tessier. And Phantom by Thomas Tessier. The Stalker by Claude Tuilles. Amazing skeleton action on the cover there. Next are a few by Tamara Thorne. This one is Haunted. Moonfall. And I have two books in the Sorority series. This one is Eve and Marilyn. Book of the Dead by John Tiggs. What a great cover. A couple by the same author. This one is The Immortal and Unto the Altar. Zombie by Peter Tremaine. Just incredible. The Night of the Moonbow by Thomas Tryon. This one has some really lovely step back art. The Other, also by Thomas Tryon. And another edition of The Other. A Nest of Nightmares by Lisa Tuttle. I have a couple more by the same author. This one is Familiar Spirit and Gabriel. Scream Queen by Edo van Belkom. Deadly Grounds by Patricia Wallace. And Water Baby, also by Patricia Wallace. I mean, come on. Skeleton Mermaid, amazing. Another gothic romance. This is Lost Ladies of the Windswept Moor. Great title, by Beverly C. Warren. Kiss of the Vampire by Lee Weathersby. And another incredible cover. This is The Doll by Josh Webster. Okay, moving on to the last shelf now. This is The Devil's Auction by Robert Weinberg. The Irish Witch by Dennis Wheatley. This was an amazing find that my sister got for me in a charity shop because it is signed by the man himself. Very, very cool. And also, what an author photo. Strange Conflict, also by Dennis Wheatley. The Resurrectionist by Rath James White. Dreamthorpe by Chet Williamson. Next up are a handful of J.N. Williamson novels. I haven't read any of them yet, but most of them do have pretty amazing covers. This one is Dead to the World, and wow, Jogging Skeleton. What more could you want? The Haunt. The Longest Night. The mirror is even metallic. Very cool. The Monastery. The Offspring. Playmates. One of my favourite covers of his. I love these creepy shadows in the background. And last for the J.N. Williamson, The Ritual. The Keep by F. Paul Wilson. Really great embossed cover. The Others by D.M. Wind or Wind. Next up I have two editions of Twins by Barry Wood and Jack Giesland. This one is the movie tie-in edition for the Cronenberg adaptation, Dead Ringers. And this is the original edition Twins, which has these embossed faces on the front. Wolf File by Jack Woods. Carlisle Street by T.M. Wright. A couple more by T.M. Wright. A Manhattan Ghost Story. And sadly this never did become a major motion picture starring Sharon Stone. And Nursery Tale, also by T.M. Wright. Hotel Transylvania by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. And The Palace by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. Blood Rubies by Axel Young, which is one of Michael McDowell's pen names. And last up for this video is A Poison in the Blood by Faye Zachary. And that wraps up this video, another instalment in my library tour. If you have any questions about any of the books, please feel free to ask. Thank you ever so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!